Well, hello, hello, hello. Dr. Michael Lane here. I hope you're having a wonderful start to your day here on Thursday. And this isn't just any Thursday, this is hashtag Think Positive Thursday. And, that's what we have to do, right? It's a time that we live in that makes it very difficult for us to really know how that we need to take care of ourselves. And I just noticed one of the things that I need to do is probably change the calendar back here. I need to bring it up to August. And what is today? Let me see. Today is August the 13th, and just about half the month is gone already. Can you believe that? It's incredible, isn't it? Well, I'm coming to you today from our kitchen because it seemed to be a good place to do this because I've got my one computer here on the kitchen table uh, that I have my script on for today's session. And I certainly hope that you will enjoy it. By the way, let me just tell you that the entirety of what I'm going to share with you today is found on our webpage, bound2excel.com. That's bound to excel, EXCEL, bound2excel.com. And you go to the resources page, and I have this script loaded on there, so you can make reference to that at any time you would like. And I hope as you're signing on here today that you will find this information to be very helpful. And let me see, what do we got going on here? Okay. Well, now, let me just say that during this pandemic, we have certainly been challenged in more ways than one. And one of the things that at the Dr. Michael Lane Center for Redirection that we want to do is to provide you with information and some helpful information that will help guide you through any of these kinds of situations that are going on. Anytime there's a crisis, we need to answer to that crisis. We need to be prepared to deal with it. And that's not always the easiest thing, you understand, but it is something that is necessary for us to do. And I think that one of the things that happens to us quite often is that our typical going and coming, our typical lifestyle of work and leisure has been challenged. Let me see, the college football and college fall sports are pretty much all gone. So it's not going to be a matter now of watching who's going to try to whip up on Alabama or Ohio State and Michigan, Ohio, and Michigan. Ooh, let's not discuss that today. Uh, hey, I'm from Ohio originally, and that's my home place. So here in Indiana, it's IU, the Hoosiers, and Purdue, the Boilermakers. So yeah, it's going to be a much different fall time for us. A lot of the fall activities are or will be canceled due to the coronavirus and this whole idea of not wanting more than 200 or 250 people to be gathered in any one place. And it is what it is, folks. So how well are you dealing with that? I think it's kind of amazing that they here in Indiana, I think it is no more than 250 people, I believe, and yet many of our schools have gone back, and we know there's more than 250 people involved in a school, and so I don't know how that's going to work out. I'm sure there's going to be issues come from that and situations. And so that's just another thing that we have to deal with. And if you're a parent, well, you'll have to deal with it. And God knows that is not an easy situation under the best of circumstances. Excuse me now. So today I wanted to talk about 6 things or 6 ways to protect our mental health during the pandemic. These are important points, and I hope that you will listen to them and gain some wonderful value from them. because hey, it is necessary in this day and age that we live that we're able to be able to function, and we have to have a good mind for functioning, and that's a pretty good chore some days, in it under the best of circumstances. Let's face it, some days it just seems so troubling. But now we have this extra whammy that is dealt to us. How are we going to manage? Some of you have been out of work for quite a while. Some of you are struggling with making day-to-day needs getting met, and it's understood. So during this whole process, it has a tendency to work on a spirit, mind, and body. Have you ever had a day in which you have just struggled all day long emotionally with what's going on in your life, and you find yourself just tired? You're worn out. You haven't done much of anything, right? And there's something about that. We're going to talk about that this morning. So let's get ready to get into the dialogue and take a look at what is going on, because it is a very troubling time. So 6 key ways to take care of mental health in an uncertain and unpredictable and risky environment. And that's what it is. It's very risky. So maybe you're unsure of where your next paycheck's coming from. Perhaps you're in an at-risk population, and you know that developing COVID-19 could prove to be fatal, especially if you're struggling with underlying health issues. And you know, they talk about certain age group, and I'm in that age group. I have matured to that age group, over the 60, and being diabetic. So I really have to watch it for anything, not just COVID-19, but for any health issue that lurks out there, and that's important to do. Well, the most important thing that you can do while living in an uncertain and risky world is to prioritize and care for your mental health. Let's talk about some ways that you can do that. This is important, folks. I hope you'll pay attention to this, because I want it to be a real blessing to you. Number one, do things that you enjoy. What do you enjoy doing? You say, well, what I enjoy doing, I can't get out and do right now. Okay, so maybe it's one of those things, going to certain venues, and those venues are not having any activities going on. Well, one of the best ways to keep your spirits up during the crisis is to do things that make you genuinely happy. Happy, happy, happy. You know, happy, that's an important part of our lifestyle. Now, that could mean binge watching maybe a good sitcom. I don't know. I hesitate to use the term binge watching any television, but I will say that maybe you can find a sitcom that makes you laugh. Now, maybe Mork and Mindy of the 70s, maybe for some it makes you laugh, some it doesn't, but anytime Robin Williams is in something, you're going to laugh, let's face it. And so maybe finding some of those old shows, those old comedies that you'll find on MeTV or Antenna TV. There's just some good ones on there. Cozy TV, and sometimes, you know, we just need to do that to get our mind off of the stuff. Let's face it, and listening to maybe your favorite songs. Now, there are certain genres of music that lends to a lot of tears and crying. So you can realize what that is and deal with that, or even going for a leisurely drive. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes I'll say to Donna, "Hey, let's go out and just take a tour around town," which, quite honestly, in our town doesn't take long. But That is something to consider. That is a good thing to do. Get away from your current environment for just a few minutes and kind of stretch your legs, so to speak. Go for a leisurely walk. If you've got pets, take them for a walk. I'll put the leash on one of these two guys that we have, and we'll walk some, and that really helps. Of course, if you have pets, that's a real joy in itself, and they tend to take a lot of stress off of you. So do those things. Experiment with some new hobbies, maybe. I know one of my friends on here. She likes to knit socks, and she knits some pretty cool ones. I mean, multicolored socks and knitting. It keeps her hands busy. It keeps the mind thinking and keeps everyone fresh. Everything in her fresh, and that's what we need to do, and that does help. Now, granted, you can only knit so much. You can only watch TV so long. And let me just say here, when watching TV, don't spend a lot of time watching the news. Why? Because it'll absolutely depress you or madden you. One of the two, let's face it. So watch what you're watching. Watch and be careful what you're listening to. And that's important. Okay, number two of these keys. Stay away from drugs and alcohol and slash a lot of sweet stuff. Yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it? But the drugs and alcohol, I have no issue with that. But a lot of people do. And there are many people that will struggle with the addiction that they have, and sometimes those who have not really had an ongoing addiction with drugs or alcohol will find themselves turning to the bottle or some pills, and then the next thing that you know, well, they're hooked on this stuff because they wanted something to ease them out of what they were going through to begin with. And I understand the importance of stepping away from what you're currently going through, and that's the reason why that I'm giving you these 6 keys today here on hashtag Think Positive Thursday, is because I want you to know and to realize the importance of remaining healthy. And anytime you do the drugs and alcohol routine or too much in sugar and sweets, that can be just as bad for you in many ways. Then when we indulge in those things, it does become problematic. So really watch that. Using substances for any of the reasons that like relaxing or entertain or escape the negativity and the negative emotions that one must have, that one is feeling, well, that is going to be a very bad situation. It's not going to bring you to good results. And let me just give you a hint here. All the stuff is still going to be there, right? It is. All of the COVID-19, all of the hassle, all of what we're going through will still be there. So after one comes down off of the high or one gets sober, it's still there. Still have to deal with it. And that's a very problematic situation. And we'll discuss that at length in another session. So the third key I want to talk to you about today is focus on your physical health. Wow. How important is that? Well, there's a direct link between your mental health and your physical health, and one does not exist without the other. You got that? One does not exist without the other. Therefore, it's important that you prioritize a healthy diet, frequent exercise, and adequate sleep. Oh, yeah, sleep. Each of these has the potential to improve your mood and to reduce your current level of stress. Commit to a workout schedule, perhaps 5 days a week. Eating a balanced diet, add as many colors, vegetables as possible, and sleeping. Try 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Well, each night, as preparing to sleep for the night, I will say to Google Home, I'll say, hey, Google, uh, I hope it's not listening right now, but set alarm, and then it comes back and asks what time. I give it the time, and it'll say, good night, Mike. And then it plays some background noise, which is really interesting. It's a combination of what you would hear on a summer night, like crickets, bugs, chirping, maybe a little frog in the background. And you know that you can say that's so bothersome. Well, quite honestly, I at first thought this ain't going to work. But the more I listened to it, the more I found it to be soothing and relaxing. And before I knew it, I was sound asleep. So it helps. It cuts out a lot of the other background noise. Of course, you can adjust the volume for whatever level you need that. And that works out real well too. So if you got one of those Google Home devices, use it. It really works well for having an alarm or even a timer. You know, if you're cooking something, you need a timer. It's good at that. So that's one of the best Christmas gifts I got from Donna in recent years, and she's always getting me something nice. But I have truly enjoyed that. Plus, you can play music, stream music over it. It's just a cool device, and it's very helpful. All right. The other thing I want to talk about health is maintaining your health, making sure that your blood pressure is where it should be, making sure your blood sugar levels are where they need to be if you're a diabetic. Excuse me a moment. And, you know, if you have an appointment with your doc, be sure to keep it. And if nothing else, a video visit. A lot of doctors are doing that now. And hey, if nothing else, keep a visit, keep that appointment, even if it's by telephone, so that there may be some questions they will think of that maybe you haven't thought of, or they want to check with you to see how you're doing, because they've got your chart there and they know exactly what your health situation is and has been, and they can ask some key questions. So remain as healthy as possible. And I know there's a lot of discussion about to wear a mask or not to wear a mask. Well, at this point, I wear a mask when I go out. Now, when I get in the car, I don't wear a mask. I will tell you that I find it rather difficult to walk into my bank to get some money and have a mask on and say, I need some money. That's kind of weird. But it's the day and age we live in. Consequently, people are getting to realize that. And I know that there's a lot of things out there on social media. You will hear, well, a mask doesn't work, a mask does work. And I will tell you this. Let's just say that we're in a store and you find me wearing a mask. I am not doing it to think that's going to keep me from the virus. The mask in itself probably will not, but it will help if I happen to sneeze or cough to restrain that spray from going the 6 feet out, you know, especially put my hand over the mask when that happens. Just to make sure, because if I were to be asymptomatic, that means I could potentially spread this thing. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a part of that. So play on the side of caution. You know, be sharp about these things. And it has nothing to do with our freedom as an American, okay? But it has everything to do with what's right. You know, we live in this country and have developed an attitude that we live in a free country, do whatever we want, and that is not correct. We live in a free country to do what is right. So do what's right, okay? Now about exercise, you know, I will do some leg bends or things like that around the house throughout the day, because I work out of the house. I normally would be out in our cabin right now. We've got a cabin behind the house that I have my study in, and I would normally be doing these. But for the past 3 or 4 weeks, I've been having to relegate myself to doing these kinds of videos in the house because our air conditioning is broke out in the cabin, and so we're kind of waiting that out. We have heat out there, which is good for wintertime, and that'll be fine. But for right now, we're just making do with what we have. That's the reason I'm coming to you from our kitchen today. And I'm glad this is a wide angle lens so you can see our mess. I mean, you know, it's a kitchen, for crying out loud. So keep yourself healthy, eat well, develop a healthy attitude. It's important to do that. Okay, key number 5. No. Key number 4. I'm going to skip one. Key number 4, find a way to cope. You know, I can't be there with you 24/7 to tell you what to do, nor can anyone. That's just not the way it's done. So for each of you, I want to be able to give you some keys and then help you find some tools that your life can become better and not bitter. Okay? So find ways to cope. Coping skills. Wow. That can be a mouthful, can't it? Well, the best way to protect your mental health is by having a healthy coping mechanism to help you work through your emotions. Some to help you work through your emotions. How important is that? It's very important. Luckily, this is the perfect time to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. Okay? Be sure to experiment with healthy methods such as meditation, reading, deep breathing, exercising, expressing yourself via art, and of course, my really important one is prayer. How important is prayer? Well, it's extremely important. You know, as a pastoral counselor, I'm going to tell you that prayer is the key to help because it is a direct link to God Almighty, who will help each and every one of us get through this pandemic. We ask, He provides, and it works. But we include all of these other things I've talked about, and it makes for a tremendous thing. You know, one of the things I enjoy doing, one of our educational TV stations in the area has a show with Bob Ross. He's the painter. Have you ever watched him? I'd love to watch Bob Ross. He is now gone from us, deceased. But I love watching his shows. I always have. First of all, Bob has a voice that is very calming. And as he is painting, as he's splashing his paint on the canvas and making these, whatever you call all of this, you say, oh, now here. Let's put a little tree over here. It's your world. You can put trees wherever you want. We've got a mountain there in the background. And it's really great. I love watching Bob Ross. It relaxes me. And the paintings are so pastoral because you're ready to just meld into that painting, wherever it may be. You know, there's usually a body of water, there's some trees, there's a mountain range in the background, and it is just beautiful. The colors are great. Well, maybe you're not a painter. Maybe this is a good time to learn. You can you can get books like from Bob Ross or is the name Jerry Yarnell. He's a current artist that does the same uh, kind of thing in his own fashion. And so there are these are good times to discover your talent, to discover what you can do, and maybe find out how good you are at it. I was surprised to find out this past week that one of my schoolmates went to school with that she does painting, and I saw one of her paintings. Oh, wow, I was impressed. What an artist! And I just think, you know, this is the kind of stuff that we need to learn. Maybe you have been wanting to learn to play music. Maybe you've been wanting to learn to play guitar, piano, organ, you know, you name it. Uh, you know, portable keyboards are, and there are some really great portable keyboards for the right kind of money. There are some really wonderful guitars that you can purchase. Don't get the cheapest one, but you know, you can get one that's decent, and find ways to learn. There's some good books, good teaching tapes. Fellow on the internet, Doug Subbin, um, is a great guitar teacher, and he has videos. And so, I mean, there's just a whole lot that you can do right now. So find ways to cope, whether it's through art, and that art may be music, okay? Because music is an art. And I really have struggled over the past few years as I have heard that there are schools that have done away with certain music classes, or maybe the marching band. Um, our youngest son went through school in band from, I think, about the fifth grade, and all the way through his graduation. Then he was in a marching band, and every week during that marching band season, we would go to different uh, you know, things that they would be doing, and it was always a lot of fun. All right, so find ways to cope, find ways, make ways, do ways of coping. Number 5, stick to a routine. Not just get up and watch 2 hours of news in the morning. Break that particular routine. Um, what's a routine around like around the Lane house? Well, I'll tell you after I have my coffee here. Is we get up, and there's always quiet devotion time, time of prayer, and then turn the TV on and maybe catch the first half hour of news, that kind of thing. Get some breakfast, of course, getting my coffee. You know, I like my coffee. I was a coffee roaster. We owned a coffee store for a few years, and I love excellent coffee. So I'm pretty picky about that. Um, so then, of course, you know, getting clothed for the day, getting dressed, and you know, many days of the week, what I do, I go ahead and I'm dressed. I mean, I have my shirt, the collar, as being a pastor. I want to be ready in case there is a call, and I can just slip the tab in, and then I'm off. Um, but I also put pants on, so you know, matching pants go with that. So I don't try to just always be in my leisure wear around the house. I want to be able to feel the part that I'm playing in this world, and I think that's important for us. Now, if you're retired, well, you know, you do what works for you. And now Donna is still working at the Walmart, and so she's over there 5 days a week doing what she does. And so for her, it's when she comes in from work, because she has been in the public all day. Now think about this, and maybe you also have been in the public all day working. Some of you that are still working, um, and there's several that are. But she comes home, and the first thing she does is take her work clothes and puts them in the washer and washes them every night, and then takes a shower quickly to get rid of any bugs that may have attached itself. I mean, bugs do this kind of thing, and so that's part of it. And two reasons. Number one, to help her and to get the bugs away from her. She's in this same age group that I am, and then also because I am a diabetic and in that group, she doesn't want to bring a bug home to us. So that works. And so whatever your schedule is for bathing, be sure you do that. That's a routine, and to stick to some sort of routine schedule, and especially during these trying times. Scheduling is so important to do. We have to have a schedule so that we don't become oh, so disruptive in our spirit and mentally, because you sit around, it can be very, very problematic. And I know that you know that. But maybe eat around the same times each day. Uh, Doing things at a particular time is very important. And so set a schedule and stick to it. All right, let's go on here. Number 6, last one. Stay in contact with loved ones. Oh, wow. How important is that? Well, while you're thankful to be physically healthy during this crisis, your social relationships have been negatively impacted, let's face it. Not being able to spend time with your family and friends has led you to feel lonely and isolated at times. Isolation is a big problem, and that is one of the issues that we're facing today, right? Isolation. I mean, we're told to social distance, remaining at least 6 feet from each other, and boy, does that ever go against the grain. Now, I know a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people I see in the stores as I'm going around and in other areas that they see someone they haven't seen in a long time, and they're right there, in that aisle and blocking the aisle, and as they're conversing. And so a lot of people do not practice social distancing. A lot of people don't wear any PPE at all to help keep the spread of this virus from going around. So it's important then to stay connected with family and friends. And we go on our social media pages and we connect with a lot of different ones, and of course same time you see a little bit of everything, right? You see these reports, and who knows, it's hard to know what's what. But anyway, to keep your relationship and improve your mental health, be sure to stay in content or in contact with those most important to you. Schedule video calls. Doesn't hurt a bit. Schedule some video calls with your best friends, and don't let the physical distance deter your relationship. And sometimes we forget. It's like this phone that I'm using today to have this video to talk to you is the same phone that I could use to call some of my friends or relatives. And how important is that? Well, it's very important. I like to stay in touch with people and make sure they're doing well. I connect with the people from my church, and I find that important to do because we're all in the same boat, folks. So there's a good chance this pandemic will take a toll on our mental health in some way or another. But when your low mood or stress becomes debilitating, you might be better off making an appointment with a therapist, mental health counselor, somewhere. Nothing that we can do in just a few minutes time here, but I'm giving you these tools. I want you to consider that. Try the methods above that I have discussed this morning. Give those a try and really work at it. And I understand that the psychopathology of many people is such that they really could benefit from a good mental health counselor, talking to their doctor about maybe something that can help them, that getting a referral. That's a very important thing. So talk to your doctor about this. If you find that you're just flat out not enjoying life, and these 6 keys I've given you, you just can't function with them, then get in touch with your doctor, please, and discuss this with your doc and say, where may I turn to talk with someone that can give me some help? And they'll do that. So I want you to think about these things, okay? Here on hashtag Think Positive Thursday. And each Thursday about this time, I want to show up here, and next week, I'm going to share some more enlightening information with you. And I hope that you find this helpful. Go to our website, bound2excel.com. bound2excel.com, and there you're going to find some resources. You'll find my books, and hey, we'd be glad to work with you any way we can. Shoot us an email. You go to our contact page on that website, and I'll be sure to get your message, and I'll be glad to respond to it. I'd love to hear from you. So remember today to tell others about hashtag Think Positive Thursday, okay? And right here on Bound to Excel on Facebook. And hey, remember this as we get ready to go now: you're born to win and bound to excel. Bye. See you later.